From the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C.
Our third and final award, also for $50,000, is for the International Prize, which goes to PlanetRead. PlanetRead is being recognized for the work of an individual, nation, or non-governmental organization working in a specific country or region. PlanetRead in India is an innovative program that reinforces literacy skills primarily through subtitles for popular musical television programming. This program, called Same Language Subtitling, was developed in India, based on a solid research. It is possible and simple to implement and replicate. It reaches 200 million low literacy TV viewers in India. Same language subtitling is notable as a highly motivational approach for getting low literacy adults to read, particularly where access to books is difficult. Accepting for PlanetRead is Brij Kotari, its founder and its president. Brij. Brij will give PlanetRead's presentation.
Thank you. What an incredible honor to be here in the Library of Congress. So last night I was thinking, okay, how do I thank this amazing place? So I thought a lot, and I came up with, something that was I was having fun with. So I'm going to thank my ABCs, okay? So I'm going to thank my advisors, not my advisors, the advisors for the prize, sorry. I'm going to thank Dr. Billington, fortunately, B, and then fortunately Dr. Cole. And then I was like, who else do I thank? Of course, I wanted to thank Mr. Rubenstein, and I'm like, oh man, how do I get to R? Thankfully, it's David Rubenstein. So I want to thank David. And then I thought, okay, I'm having too much fun with this. Maybe there's an E I need to thank. So I'm going to thank the enemy. And you're all wondering who the enemy is. Well, I work with the enemy. And you will see the enemy in my presentation. That's television, of course. Okay, we took on this challenge, really, how do we lift the boat for 1 billion people? So India has made progress in literacy, but this is the official literacy, which means just people who call themselves literate, but really can't read a lot.
मुझे पढ़ना नहीं आता है।
पढ़ना नहीं आता है। तो आप कौन सी क्लास में हैं?
हम
सातवीं क्लास में। सातवीं क्लास में तो ऐसे तो पढ़ना आ जाना चाहिए, नहीं? मुश्किल होती है पढ़ने में? Okay, 7th grade cannot read, but she is not illiterate. Okay, there's a slight distinction because she can read a few of the letters, but she cannot read something meaningfully. So here's somebody in the middle. Now, here's a major problem in a country like India and many parts of sub-Saharan Africa as well. Children go to school for 5 years, and even after 5 years, in India, 53% of the children are not able to read. That's a shocking statistic. That translates to 3 groups, really, in India. We only talk about 2, the people who can't read and the people who can. So officially, this is an official figure, 273 million people in India are completely illiterate. They will not be able to recognize a single letter. The rest, the yellow and the green here, are considered to be literate. And as I just showed you Kavita's story, there are a lot of kavitas, precisely 460 plus million kavitas in the country who cannot read, but we call them literate. Now, we drew inspiration from Professor Lawrence, who had this paper, Does the Flap of a Butterfly's Wings in Brazil Set Off a Tornado in Texas? Okay, small change somewhere, it causes a massive wave somewhere else. So is there such a butterfly for literacy? Okay, the enemy is here, okay? We really looked at what people do in their everyday lives. They watch a lot of television everywhere in the world. Unfortunately, that is true. About 750 million people today watch television. In another 5 years, it's going to be 1 billion people watching television in a country like India. So here's something we thought of in 1996 is, we call it Same Language Subtitling, or SLS. What you hear is what you read, word for word. Okay, you get the idea. It can be done in every language. So first one was a Hindi song with Hindi subtitles of the lyrics on mainstream television. Next one is a Tamil song on with Tamil subtitles, again on mainstream television. We first implemented it in Gujarat state, in Gujarati language, in 1999, and since then we've been doing a fair bit of pilot studies on whether it has an impact. Well, from 2006 to present day, we're pretty much covering the entire geography of the country. In terms, the subtitles are reaching on television, most of the country, the yellow zone. It's giving reading practice to 200 million weak readers at current levels of subtitling penetration. But it's giving only for 30 minutes a week, okay? I would like to qualify that. So it's still in pilot mode, even though it has had a lifespan of about 10 years, but reaching 200 million people half an hour a week. So on a Sunday morning, people watching television in a village in Gujarat, Hindi film song playing on television, and Hindi subtitles. Okay, now I will admit that is the best case scenario. Not everybody reads as openly as that, but a lot of people will either move their lips or they will be actually reading in their mind.
अच्छा लगता है, पता चलता है ना, जिसको ऐसे बोलते हैं उसमें नहीं मालूम चला तो लिखा हुआ पढ़ लेते हैं तो अच्छा,
लिखा हुआ पढ़ ले तो अच्छा लगता है। अच्छा, और कोई बात अच्छी लगी उससे क्या फायदा हो सकता है बताइए?
इससे गाना लिखना हो तो लिखना जाएगा,
इससे
गाना लिखना हो तो लिखा जाएगा,
गाना लिखना हो तो लिखा जाएगा। अच्छा, तो आप लिखेंगे बैठ के गाना? अच्छा अच्छा, नहीं अच्छी बात कही। और कोई बताइए कुछ? ये बताएंगे।
जिससे कम सुनाई देता है वो पढ़ सकता है,
इससे कम सुनाई देता है वो पढ़ सकता है।
Okay, so suddenly when we started talking to people, people are writing the lyrics down, and of course observing also that it's good for the people who have hearing difficulties, and that's the reason why you have closed captioning here. And so we're just applying that similar idea to literacy now. Okay, here's where our science came in. So we actually tracked a weak reader watching a Bollywood song. So to your left is the person watching a song, and the same person watching a song with the subtitles on the right. So the first one, all over the place, right, on screen. The second one, clear, distinct bands. where they're looking at the screen. Now, is it proof of reading? We don't know yet from this data. All we know is that they're looking at that part of the screen. So we did some studies, of course, before, after randomized controlled tests. But this is a large-scale study in 4 Hindi-speaking states, but this is just the data for school children. Again, to your left is a graph where no exposure to subtitling, but a child, even after 5 years of schooling, we found that 24% only become good readers. 50% remain weak readers, and 25% cannot read a single letter after 5 years of schooling. Now, compare that to another group that actually goes to school, learns a few letters, perhaps the same night, goes home and happens to be watching Bollywood, and every Bollywood film has songs. That letter is getting reinforced at home in a dynamic, synergistic way. And what we found is that the green zone has more than doubled, the red zone has halved. Okay? So just by the fact of adding these subtitles on mainstream television, you can pretty much double the number of children who are going to become good decoders, okay? Good readers also as a process of that. Well, obviously we don't want people to stop with reading subtitles on Bollywood. So the natural question was, do they read something else? And what we found is that youth and adults, and this was done with youth and adults, this data you see here. Again, to begin with, exposure or no exposure, I mean the groups, both the groups, okay, they were roughly equal, 34% reading a newspaper once a week. About 5 years later, again, you find that in the group that saw the subtitles, 70% said they read a newspaper once a week, as compared to the group that didn't see the subtitles and the songs with them, 42% only. So that's a natural growth from 34% to 42%. Again, evidence that, yes, it leads to other forms of reading. You cannot stop somebody who reads subtitles from reading something else. Does it impact writing? I won't spend too much time on this, but basically, we asked children and adults, children and youth, if they could write any 5 words from your reality, from your context. Not much at the beginning, and 5 years later, you start seeing the difference. Those who got exposure to subtitles, 72% were able to write, as compared to 45% from schooling only. Can you write your complete address? Similar kinds of results. Fortunately for us, if we wanted to mainstream something like same language subtitling, it had to work in the television industry. The ratings went up about 10 to 15%. That's because when the subtitles come on songs, most weak readers, and including literate and readers, they stay with the song longer because they want to know the lyrics of the songs. Everybody likes to sing. Everybody likes karaoke for a reason. Cost becomes a major issue in a country like India. So we compared the costs, but just to give you an idea, it costs about $20,000 to take 52 episodes of 30 minutes and subtitle them. Okay, a whole year, right? If you do the math, that comes to that ridiculous number, $0.0002 per person per year, because it's reaching about 100 million viewers, right? Now, just to put that in perspective, how much would it cost to give reading practice to one person for his or her entire life? You multiply that with the average age of a person in India, 65 years today. And the cost of giving reading practice to one person throughout life, from birth to passing away, 1 cent. It's, of course, as it was mentioned in the video, it's good for the hearing impaired. So here's a small clip from that itself is a good enough reason to actually put subtitles, because it makes media accessible among the deaf and hard of hearing. And in India, everybody's reality is actually one of hard of hearing, because there's just so much ambient noise anyway. What are our major goals going into the future? Well, simple, put same language subtitling on all songs in all languages. There are 22 official languages and about 1,000 dialects. Put just simple, just implement it all over. There are other reasons why we could be doing it, and some of them are listed. I won't spend too much time on each of the reasons. Of course, the cost I already covered. It has a good synergy with the public service broadcaster's mission, which is to promote health, education. And of course, this is a solution that will travel, that can travel, because every culture around the world today watches some form of songs in their own language. So of course, we would not recommend implementing on Bollywood in the US. We would implement it on other songs here.
Same language subtitling doubles the number of functional readers among primary school children. A small thing that has a staggering impact on people's lives.
I believe he's the explainer-in-chief. Okay, not too far from here, 50 years ago, there was this major march on Washington. And there was a singer there, Mahalia Jackson, who actually encouraged Dr. King to talk about the dream. And we took this video from YouTube and we subtitled and put it back as our small contribution to honor that moment in history. So I'd just like you to enjoy this clip.
Tell me how we got over, Lord. I've been falling and rising all these years, but you know my soul, look back and wonder, how did I make it over?
Okay. The Library of Congress has a lot of song-based content. And a lot of it may be as scratchy as that in terms of video quality. We can put subtitles on those and put it back on YouTube. It's just a thought. So go back to that question, is same language subtitling a butterfly for literacy? I'll leave that as a question. Thank you very much.
Tonight. That's great. Stop and get people who applauded you. Bridj, just look up. Thank you.
This has been a presentation of the Library of Congress. Visit us at loc.gov.